and welcome back to the Chelmsford News Show. I'm Tom Christiano. Well, today we have a wonderful show. It's a talk by the Lowell artist Michael Viera, which was given at the Chelmsford Library in January of 2025. Michael talks about his art education, his inspirations, some of the artists that he admires, his techniques, and all about his life as an artist. So if you are interested in art and creative people, I think you'll love this show.
Maybe throwing several light components on you guys. So hopefully there's something you guys can take, digest it, process it, and then put it back into your own life, your own art. However applicable. All right. So, and some of us are born weird. Some artists are born weird. We've got talents just fill into the brim, but then other practical things just kind of just fall to the wayside. Absent-minded, the weird artist that has their own home studio. There's lots of stuff out there. Like I was saying, my name is Michael Viera. I'm an American painter. I was born in Lowell, and Lowell has actually become my muse, which is very interesting because I was born there. For my whole life, I kind of avoided the idea of the cityscapes. I was kind of fell into still life painting and portrait painting, which was very challenging, and that's the kind of I finished that on. So anyway, I want to show you guys. Oh, here's one little frame. I got a little bug here. So if you see a bug fly away, it's so bad. It's a tangle. So I'll just pass it along. So mostly that little painting, I just want you, the painting's not that great, so please don't talk about how amazing it is because it's game. But what I want you guys to notice is flip it over, and that's linen. Some of you guys, I feel like the materials might hold some of you guys back. So if you use like high quality Dutch linen, like oil prime linen, and you use like artist grade paint or something a little bit better than student grade, you're gonna notice I'm finding the materials that you thorn, especially what we found me. Because I'll do like the 4x4s at the brush gallery, and the first thing I do is rip that canvas off and put a piece of wet paint. Because it's just, the tooth is smoother, and the oil paint just kind of sits on there, and you can kind of move it a little bit. You're not fighting the materials. And so, yeah, just keep passing that around. But really do pay attention to just the materials I use. Because that's usually what breaks my bank, is the materials. Like a big roll of rand's like $600. I mean, I'll have it for like a year. And also stretch it. So if you flip it over, you notice how I stretched it, because that's just becoming cheap. But I'm graduated from the Museum School of Fine Arts in Boston. And I went there in the 90s, which was actually pretty amazing. And I didn't realize how amazing it was until I showed up, a decade later. And first thing I used to do, I would go up into the bathrooms, because the bathrooms are just full of just poetry, like in the stalls. and just crazy drawings and stuff like that. Good. And then I don't know if anyone's ever been to museum school back then, but now it's just like accordion tile, recessed lighting. Like, if someone writes on the wall, they're going to get suspended. And it's like, and you almost take away that guerrilla art kind of mentality out of it. And I'm like, well, the painting studio upstairs, that bathroom still has to be a mess. Because we have like a mirror that people will draw like on the wall and reflect the mirror. So it was all the time, perfectly clean, it was really just a horror. But the thing that the museum school did teach me about was the ability to appreciate everything and expose me to things I would have never been exposed to. Even performance art. So performance art, you never know what you're gonna walk into, right? So you got this guy, he's like gently dipping his testicles into glitter. And he's sitting there you're like, yeah, that's pretty nuts. So, that was my joke, sorry. But no, but seriously though, that didn't happen. But seriously, the museum school, you had so much freedom that you were able to communicate to muse, which could also be it could also be a problem, because we didn't have attendance, we didn't have grades. What we did have was a review board at the end of each semester. And that was very proven. It's like an hour of sitting there with two faculty and two students. And then you have all your body work up, the thing you've done to the year. Okay. And you talk about what you went through, your struggles and stuff like that. And a lot of people can tell if you did it all like in a week, because there's no breakthroughs, there's no like struggles, you can almost see it. And it's very interesting because I'd witnessed that, people kind of filming it in, faking it. So we had this saying, the museum school gives you so much rope that if you're not careful, you'll hang yourself. And it's absolutely true because like the most important lesson I got from my MSF, the most important lesson I got from that SNFA was self-discipline, because we didn't have attendance, so no one checked me up. We didn't have grades, so it wasn't like I had to turn and say, or I'm not going to pass. There was none of it. But if you didn't do it for school, you're not going to do it for yourself when it actually matters. When you're just all, no, I'm going to go do something else today, I'm not going to paint today, and that keeps happening. There was the saying Paul used to say that daily activity is like a holy man's beard, You can cut it all back, but it's all going to be there the next day, so might as well just look instead. The value start. So the museum school, I learned to look at everything around me as art for its potential beauty, and I would look within the ugly things to find beautiful things, and I would try to uplift it. And then we had this amazing class. It was called Art as a Process, and that pretty much kind of broke you into the school, the way you're thinking. And they were like, we redefined things like drawing, and we redefined like art materials. So the one lesson we had, a drawing class we had, was we had plaster and we carved into little balls. And then we laid a sheet of tar paper that we put on the roof for roofing. And we would like just we'd make marks. And so it'd be white streak marks across black paper. And their idea of drawing is like a horse drawing a carriage, a pencil drawn across the surface of a piece of paper. That was their definition of drawing. But I learned things like I noticed, there's a piece in here that's aluminum foil, and they over there,
Christmas tree back there.
yes, and Christmas tree, and that's something that like we would also all explore. You don't have to go to an art store to buy art supplies. You can go to a hardware store and buy that thing around found objects. But another thing, because there was no majors, you can follow your muse around. So if you wanted to draw better, you should take a sculpting class. A lot of film students would take painting classes. And painting is very interesting because painting, it's like you can tell, like it's pretty much the end of the movie, painting. You could tell like the whole plot happens. Yeah. And with film, it's very linear. I fell into the wood shop. That's a lot of times I was kind of going between the ceramic studio, the painting studio, and I'd spent a lot of time in the wood shop just because I just loved that, the smell and people there. Another thing, so I wrote here, poor Ryan, heroin was a big problem. There was this up-and-coming artist, and he had shows, he had pretty big shows, and he came from a very affluent family in Florida. And I used to hang out with him, and he goes, "Oh my God, you know, it's so cold." I'm like, "Yeah, just hang out." And then one day he's like, "Hey, Mike, you want to try heroin?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, man. No, I'm sorry." It's because he grew up in an affluent area. He didn't get to see what drugs did to people, and I did. I was in Lowell. I was around during the crack epidemic. And so I had the perspective he didn't have. And I don't know what he's doing now, but what I wanted to do for all of us is just have a moment of silence, because I know all of us have been touched by addiction. And I just want to have a moment of silence, just for marketing. And when I saw Ryan, I thought this later, Ryan, there but for the grace of God go I. And that's just very true, because I could have easily done that too. I could have easily said, I want to fit in with this guy, because everybody likes him. You know, he's an up-and-comer. It's all this stuff, and I want to be associated with him. But I knew it was one of those things. I'm like, well, you don't understand. You don't understand. You don't see your path. But I couldn't because I was outside looking in. Yeah, so that was the hard one. And then after graduating, I followed my muse. I traveled. I taught art. But then I hit a plateau. I noticed like a lot of my work was like I didn't put people in it. Things where I kind of simplified things a little bit too much. And I realized I was just kind of relying on my primitive talents that I'd learned when I was young. From a great artist, Dan Gaudet. I don't know if you guys know Dan Gaudet. He just recently retired, but a lot of the stuff I learned from him as a child, I realized I was relying on that when I'm making art at the present moment. And then, if you want to sharpen yourself, you need to rub up against something harder. That's the only way to sharpen yourself. So I became an apprentice under Paul Bingerson for 6 years. And it was very structured. We started with life drawing and worked our way through. And Paul, one of the very first things Paul would say is art is like a beautiful butterfly flying around, just the majestic, just the way it flutters. And what we do is we catch that butterfly, and kill that butterfly, and put in that butterfly, the butterfly goes to the wall, and we copy that butterfly exactly. Because what Paul's teaching us is the grammar of how to talk about it. We kill that art because we want to learn, we want to dissect it. You know, so because of that, I think Paul didn't want people to be all experimental. He really wanted to teach you the grammar of what you're learning. And, you know, so anyway, some of that, this is kind of, I think a lot of people want to hear this. A lot of the things I learned from Sean, because you call them secrets, but they're really not. I mean, they're secrets because you need to do them for you to own it. So one of the important things, no idea about this, is North Light. North Light, I don't know what you guys paint with natural light at all, but if you have northern exposure, you never turn the lights on. You've got steady light all day. Like right now in my studio, I have a southern exposure. So there's a point where it's so bright in my studio that I have to wear sunglasses, which I can't do. It's like anything. So I just need to slide everything around, and thankfully I'm working with photos right now. But if I was working on a still life, then no, I can do it. I could do it with the still life, because I'd be chasing the shadows. So North Light was very important, which is something I never realized. And then also another one, so it's kind of dumb, limit your palette. I paint with 7 colors. I paint with, let's see, I can just rub it on my head. Black, glycerin, cadmium red, cadmium lemon, viridian, titanium white, French ultramarine. Yeah, and then sometimes I'll use, my favorite color, viridian, and that's it. And sometimes I'll add other colors, and it's kind of like a spice rack. You know, you don't want to throw curry into everything. So you save the curry for things later, you know, so I got, quinacridone, red, like I'll save that for like the blue and purple stuff. A black mirror, any kind of mirror. But I mentioned black mirrors because we all have them in our pockets. All our cell phones, it's a black piece of glass. I don't know where my black mirror is, but you could do things like, you could look, you know, like that, and behind you, you could do this and see everything upside down. So there's different ways of using a mirror. And all you're doing pretty much is just giving yourself a fresh eye, something you haven't seen. Because even if I'm blind to your board, we stare at it all day, you don't see it. Another big thing I learned from Paul too was standing back from your work. So for instance, so this is a still life thing I have here. This one I actually did in Texas. It's kind of damaged now. But the way I would do this is I would have my actual still life set up right next to it, and I'd have my paint and palettes right here. And the whole time I'm painting from a distance. I walk on to my painting, I'll make a little mark, I split back, and then I compare side to side. If it's doing the same effect, the same glow, the same color. And if not, I adjust it or like it. But the whole time I'm painting here. And it was just kind of funny because we were in no house. And I'm like, people downstairs like, oh, what you guys do all that? But all I hear is you guys walking around all day just walking. I'm like, what painting? You guys anybody want to let you too. Just walking around all day. The let's see. Oh, I think on top and bottom. This is crazy. Paul took away a bunch of problems just by telling me to do that. So it helps to mark my top and the bottom and never move them. All my issues are widths. It's all width issues now. You know, so if something looks too fat, it's because I have it too. Oh, if something looks too short, it's because I have it too wide. You know, if it's like, if it looks too tall, it's because I have it too thin. So so Kenzie's have to probably a waist, which you have to be disciplined to not do hours. It doesn't mean top and bottom, it can be the sides. You show those up in the wide, they're the widest proportions. Another one, oh my God. This to this, that to that. That one took me a little while too. This to this, that to that. So I will do something, I'll paint something correct to itself. So I paint the eye looks amazing. Except it's too big, or it's not the location, or it's too high, or it's too low, or whatever it is, it's not correct to the rest of the painting. So whenever you make a mark, you're always like this mark to this mark, and then that one to that mark, and then you look at it in relation. So you're always drawing something for the sake of something else. That one took me a while. Another good one, Shadows of Flat, R.H. Isaac Gamble. Shadows of Flat, but fly with no hat. Or they're called the thin book too. And that's another one. That's another one that saves a lot of problems. Is if you just soften those shadows, because if you start putting all this crazy details in the shadows, it'll take away from the grand power of the piece. You know, our eyes pretty much look at the lens anything. So you can step those shadows down, where you kind of smooth it out. It saves so much time by just clapping that stuff up instead of getting sucked into the shadow parts. So another one Paul would say is like, how do you break the bundle with sticks? It's one stick at a time. That's the way to do it. You couldn't break the whole bundle. You have to do one stick at a time. And so anytime we're faced with this daunting, or like, oh, there's just too much pattern in this thing. It's like, well, how do you gonna break a bundle of sticks? Yeah. The other thing we say is how do you eat an elephant? One spoonful at a time. Yes. Mostly the studio makes would give us, but we'd say like, oh, remember how much fun it was taking that hands? Like, yeah, I feel like, oh, it's not on the spot. David had. But so that'll come in my head a lot. Remember how fun it was to paint that? And it'll kind of soften the blow myself a little bit. Another one's always ask for a fresh eye. A fresh eye. So you start looking at your work all day, you stop seeing it. It's kind of like a writer, they get an editor, so they can kind of look at your stuff and be like, oh, where did this character come from? Oh, that's his brother. Oh, you never mentioned that. You know, so you always want, even bringing a child in, they can go to all those legs are too long. Or it's like, oh, that looks too dark. You know, and just take it because that's a fresh eye. That was somebody that didn't look at your piece, and that was their initial reaction. So that's a very important. You can just drag in somebody out and just coming. Actually, I was reviewing my old. I did a lecture like 15 years ago for the Chelmsford Society. It was actually a critique of a lot of work, but there was something I said there, and I'm going to repeat it again, is because it's very important. Drawing is so important that it comes last. That is the last thing you worry about is drawing. Because when people hang on to the drawing in the beginning, everything suffers. Everything suffers. The colors aren't as vivid as they should be. The values aren't as brave as they should be. Now, if you just, so Wiley said, there's a big field of red here, and it turns purple. You know, this is like a yellow, and it shades. You know, and if you just think of it absent light, don't be clever. Don't be like, okay, this is the tablecloth, this is the edge of a tomato or whatever. Don't do that. Just be like, this is where that color means that color. You keep doing that, and you step back and you just keep correcting, and don't think of the obvious. It'll all fall into place. But like drawing, so for instance, the way I used describe it would be like a royal feast. So the first people that show up are the people that sing. They go and sweep everything up, clean everything out, and then another crew of people come in and start setting all the tables of chips. And then you have all the guests start showing up, and they all get seated. And then you've got the prominent courtiers, you know, the dukes and duchesses, and they all make their entrances. The very end is the king and queen. You don't want them in the beginning. You don't want them getting dirty. You don't want the wine to spill on them. You don't want them falling on them while they're setting things up. You want them last. So you got all this moving close together. And at the end, you're going to start kind of opening things up and pushing it together and making the drawing you have. But by then, you have all the beautiful colors, all the beautiful, you get the soft edges, the hard edges. So another one, Paul, coming out of the fog. That was probably trademarked by him. And that was so revolutionary. That was probably more revolutionary than all the abstract artists ever bombarded us to. And basically, it's simple enough. Everything's out of focus. You just paint everything all fuzzy. And then you start to look for the hikers and high readers. So if you're driving, you're like, what is that? You're like, oh, that's a fence. Oh yeah, oh, there's a mailbox. Oh, there's a house. You start to see things the closer you get to it. And that's kind of the same thing with drawing so poor. It comes last. You put all the colors, all the shapes in there, and you're coming out of the fog. It's like, oh, that black and white edge. I can see that a little clear, so I go like that right edge. And that leads to pink. Yeah, I'm sure. Well, they must have covered it. And then also too, Paul would get frustrated at me at night. And like everyone, like, oh, Paul, or, like, oh, Mike, you're Paul's favorite. I'm like, I don't know, he's thinking of now all the time. And one thing he would say to me, just like, you realists are all the same. You're just painting things. He's like, you just paint the effects. He's like, I want to see the effects of that happening. Stop painting that thing. And that, of course, took me a while to kind of understand, He's like, open up this passage and paint this part first, instead of painting that shine down. And I still fall to that habit, because I do that quite time. I had another one too. Every morning we walk into the studio, stand in front of the piece and say, if I was to drop dead right now, well, why am I going to regret not doing on this painting? And now that's what you work on first. That is what you work on first, because ultimately you shouldn't go sell even if you're dead. You've done that. They can tell what you were going for, and oh, it's an unfinished painting. But so first thing in the morning, what are you going to regret after? You shouldn't finish that first. Also, I think the best way to learn, and if you guys feeling around a plateau, is to learn from life. Always work from life, because that's going to give you the camera wise. It doesn't give you the right colors. And also, if you see what you have to learn yourself, like always in the same spot, but things always the same. And you just work with it. It's a lot harder, because you're taking a three-dimensional object and you're translating to 2D objects. So it's kind of a challenge, don't you? And then when it comes time to actually doing a piece, it's already like memory bank in your head. So Mr. Hunter, it's funny, I have a microphone on my VC. You guys go, hear me, right? Okay, good. So Robert Douglas Hunter, I don't know if you guys know Mr. Hunter. He was another Boston school painter. He passed away 2014. But I would sit with him all the time during the openings of the Guild of Boston Artists in Boston. I would sit with him, and we'd be talking about art. And he said this one thing to me. He said, it's like, if you're having a hard time with something, just paint it out and paint it right back in again. I guarantee it's going to look better. I guarantee you. And I took that to heart. I was like, Mr. Hunter years, and of course it always worked. But then I just paint it up, and I did. But no, that's a little bit. And I found out later he isn't every dud. Yeah. But it's okay, because I really, really listened to him, and I took it for myself. Okay. Well, this is take a little break here. I just want to show you guys a video. And I have to separate this up. Nice, and that's it, really. But when someone looks at this, they'd be like, oh my God, I used to go with my grandmother at that church. Or this was like, oh, I used to live with Acre. I know exactly where that view is. And there's an excitement that I don't get from this, And I like this. I love it, but I heard an analogy, I want to go fishing with my friend, right? I love Oreo cookies. But who doesn't love Oreo cookies? So I'm going to put Oreo on my bait, and I'm going to go fishing, because, the fish love Oreos too, right? Now, the fish like worms, and I don't like worms. Worms are gross. But that's what the fish want, and if I want fish, I got to give them what they want. It's kind of the same thing, except I'm really doing it for myself, and I'm doing it for myself ultimately, for my own sanity. And then I'm doing it, and the validation is the joy and excitement people get. I want to show you a video of my process. This right here. Now, I'm just going to learn through one time, and then we'll So yeah, I'll just run it through one time. I do this super fast. I'll stop and tell you what day it is. This is the first day. So you see the still life. Actually, I probably don't have to wait a second time. See all that paper I just put there? I'll play it back. So drawing is so important that it comes last. So all that stuff is just colors and values. And now what I'm doing is I'm looking for high readers. So just like coming out of fog, just like Paul would say, coming out of fog. So I can see the edge of that fabric. So I start taking care of that. Okay, this is on YouTube, so you guys can watch it again and slow it way down so you guys can see it. So now, you see, I don't know what day that was, but now I'm starting to do the hydrangeas. There's that little corner, I need to fix that. That's like the canvas was in stretch real. That kind of like, you know, come and look at it. So now I'm pulling the darks through. And what I do is I work in a passage, a section at a time. So I open up that area and work on it, and then I put it all back together. That's how Mr. Hunter was saying, if you don't like something, paint it out and then paint it right back in the ink. Like I had breaks, the breaks are coming back. Yeah. But and in this painting, all the gourds are wrong.
What is that?
The grapes are fake. There's a bunch of fake stuff, but the gourds are. That's what I was chasing. This was a commission up to Houston. So they had that commission's all of my work. And there's all the detail, all the other detail. You know, it's kind of like when you go to a portrait, you're not painting the eyelashes in the beginning. You paint those eyelashes right at the end. And there's all the little highlights. Oh, it's finished up. And you guys can put the lights back on.